in different silos and in different places. And sometimes when I still speak to users or I go to hotels to see what they're up to in their day to day, you still see them having, I'm not lying, 7 to 10 tabs open to make a single decision.
Nadine with OTA Insight. This is a business intelligence platform, I guess you would call it, right?
I guess that's what you would call it. Exactly.
So revenue, distribution, marketing. I know we're going to talk. We'll probably talk about something specific because you guys have
Yeah,
been around a little bit. But
we have.
let's let's pull back
Yeah.
and tell me what problem OTA Insight is solving on a
So on a global
large
basis, wow.
on a
Okay, let's
global
go
basis.
way back. So like you have already outlined correctly, we are a software provider that equips hoteliers of all types of hotels, from independents to big chains, with the tools they need to make better commercial decisions. So driving more revenue into their properties in perfect alignment with their digital marketing counterparts. Around the richest data sets that we like to pull together for our users. And I think what we're going to talk about today is exactly that. We have pulled in a new data set that I would love to discuss.
Sure, but um, I mean, there are other systems that provide data, right?
Indeed.
Some of the data that you provide, there are independent systems maybe that provide data. There's data everywhere in a hotel, right? That's the crazy thing. But you're really, I don't know. Are you? How would you describe it? You're bringing it all in one place. It's easy to digest. It's easy to. How would you describe it?
I would say that OTA Insight specifically has grown tremendously in the last couple of years. I mean, we used to be, if you go way back, like you like to, apparently, you go way back 10 plus years, we started out as a rate shopper. So we brought together rate data, and that was a little bit it. And over the years, we have grown into this much more comprehensive commercial platform that offers, well, all sorts of BI, market intelligence, rate data, short-term rental data, which is our latest edition. And I think what we have to keep in mind is that back then, I think data was very scarce. So hotels did not necessarily have all the data they needed to make decisions. Today, it all exists, but it all exists in different silos and in different places. And sometimes when I still speak to users or I go to hotels to see what they're up to in their day to day, you still see them having, I'm not lying, 7 to 10 tabs open to make a single decision for a price of a day or for a revenue strategy they want to adjust. And that is ludicrous. That is not sustainable. And what we like to do is to pull all the data into one place and to make it actionable through a very easy user interface, that we bring the most relevant pieces together so the time to decision is much faster and you do not need to jump silos, and when it comes to it, pull it all out into your own Excel. That's what we want to avoid. And that's, I think, what we're very good at, and we will tend to elaborate on in the future as well.
So you've described your product and the problem pretty well. Maybe go a little bit further on exactly how you describe OTA Insight. I mean, is it a platform? Are we talking about you got to have all these integrations to get this data into the platform? Talk to me about that.
So it is, you don't have to have anything, but it is really up to the user and the specific problem they want to solve. So if you think about the commercial landscape of a hotel, there is a range of jobs that happen on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And the typical data sets that you come across is your own PMS data. So that's your own booking data, the trends you can see under the hood just about your own hotel. Then what you usually do is, once you've understood that, you put it into perspective by looking at what is happening in the market. What are other hotels like me pricing at? What is happening in the short-term rental space? How are these properties picking up around certain days? Then you can benchmark this against the competition, and the list goes on, right? And I haven't even spoken about forward-looking search behavior of guests. So all of this we basically pull into the platform for you. It comes in different modules that you can subscribe to as a user. So depending on who you are, how your property is built, you can have the full suite, or you can have any individual module to serve a sub problem that you're facing, particularly at your property. So it is very much up to the user to make the most out of the richness of data that we do provide for the public.
Who's it for? Is it for larger organizations, groups?
It is really for, I'm going to be bold on this one. It is really for anybody. So if I think about the types of data that we do pull together and the types of modules that we do support, Um, we have had traditionally a vast range of chain clients who have subscribed to OTA Insight. Those were traditionally the groups that were quite sophisticated in their approach to revenue management and to commercial management. So there were different roles that had different jobs, and they could all collaborate around the insights that we were offering. So that was, I would say, the starting point. However, we are starting to penetrate the independent space much more heavily. Why? Because after the pandemic, we all know there's been a lot of staff shortage in the independent space or generally in the hotel space, and it's harder for the long tail segment to compensate these shortages. So they're looking for automation, they're looking for quicker decisions, they're looking for general insights that they can use in their day to day in a very, very easy fashion. And that's where we've seen a lot of traction lately. And it's also a segment, well, it's close to our heart because we feel like we can make a big difference, where we would like to offer more solutions in the future as well.
Are you in the North America a lot?
We are. So
Okay,
I
yeah.
would say it's one of our that's one of our sweet markets. I mean, we originated in Belgium and Europe, so you can imagine this is where we expanded first. But we have a very big office in the US. We just recently also acquired Korea RevGen, another BI company that we have just
Hmm.
taken under our umbrella. And they have also helped us to really grow the footprint in the US. And what we are now putting together actually with them is probably the most comprehensive BI solution we have had to date. It's nothing I can go into detail about today because it's still in the making, but it will hit the markets very, very soon. So definitely want to keep an eye on.
Cool. Well, talk to me about your short-term rental data feature you just rolled out.
Yeah, so to be honest, it was a bit difficult to pick what to speak about today because we have so many releases, especially this year. We've been very, very busy in the product team, but short-term rental is an interesting topic. I feel like it's very in vogue these days to hate Airbnb, and there's a lot of denial about the impact these platforms actually have in the hotel industry. So what we have done is we have really seen that again, the problem is that there is additional competition in your market, but this data to see that and to actually do something about it is not really tailored to hotels and it's not integrated into their day to day. So it's often siloed data sets that hotels can access, but then they're left with what am I going to do with this information anyway? It is so far away from what I usually do in my day to day. So that's what we saw as an opportunity, and we pulled in a lot of short-term rental data that we are able to unlock almost any market for any of our subscribers and give them a great overview over what type of listings exist in their market, first of all, how close are they to them, what do they sell at, are they occupied, yes or no, and all of this information is integrated into our current product suite and throughout. So we're very excited about this latest edition.
Do you currently have users on that feature?
Yes, a lot. So it has actually taken off quite well. It is very easy to upsell. It comes as an add-on to our existing products. And what it does is it creates basically an additional layer on top of the rate information you're already used to consuming for your competitive set and for your market. And that's why it has been, yeah, it's taken to the market quite well. It is very easy to use and dig through. You can filter it to make it relevant for your property. So you only look at listings that actually concern your specific hotel type. And yeah, so it's been great. We have had a lot of success so far, and we hope that this will continue. I mean, it's definitely a data point. I think that's always been requested by our users for many years, but nobody at the time really knew to what extent, yeah, this should be integrated in a typical hotel product. So we've done a lot of work to make it relevant and break it down into the actionable tool we have built in the end.
Cool. Yeah, because you can't ignore that, right? I mean,
Little hard to ignore.
right.
I mean, it is something. If you speak to hotels, it's interesting, right? I think there's still a perception sometimes out there of this is not really for me. This is, I don't compete with that segment. But if you dig into it, right, and if you also read what you've seen in the big publications, Focus Wires, Gift writing about at least 50% of travelers actually making a decision to stay in a hotel or a short-term rental. So there is a competitive element, whether you like it or not. And you can obviously say, well, I don't see it, so it doesn't exist, but it is there, right? It is all around us. And we can then decide to be proactive about it or live in denial. And we would like
Right.
to suggest the former at OTA
Right.
Insight.
Well, let's wrap up with, I mean, talk to me about why OTA Insight is different than other options that are out there. Like, what's the real difference here?
Specifically for the short-term rental space or for all the products that we build?
Whole enchilada, as we say in Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I would say what really I hope I can name a couple of things. So I would say data is really at the core of what we do, and that will, in the end, probably be the most important difference for our users. I think that's safe to say. We have a very high degree of data quality and diversity, and I think just us pulling in the short-term rental data this year is just a testament to how we grow our data sets year on year. I think when I was here 2 years ago, I spoke about just integrating the search data from the third parties into OTA Insight. And that was a new thing at the time. Before we had just started to integrate the PMS data and on the books from the hotel. So we really don't stop, and we do this to a great degree of accuracy. And I would say that's probably the most important for our users. Then where it gets a bit more artistic is the usability, because you can have so much data, we just talked about it. If it's not broken down in a manner that makes it easy to digest and easy to action, it's almost useless. So that is something we're very proud of. We have a very big design team that is solely focused on, I want to say making these insights pretty, but making them highly usable for any audience. So we are good at catering to all types of hotels due to this usability. And lastly, I'm just going to throw it in there because it just comes back and back. We have a very good support service. So if you ever have any question, um, our support is probably the quickest and friendliest and funniest out there in the industry. So that's just a caveat I would love to throw in there at the end. But I think that really sets OTA Insight apart. Has done so in the last couple of years, and we're very proud to continue this into the future as well.
Well, that usability of all this data that's available, but nobody can really get their arms around it. That's great. That's exciting.
It is, and it's difficult. It is difficult to make it that way. It takes a lot more than just putting data into a chart. So we have a very close collaboration between design and the data science team. So you can see everybody has a say in this and how we visualize data and how things interact, because it needs to be telling yet user friendly, and that's a very difficult balance to strike.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you for joining me, Nadine.
Always, always a pleasure. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, let's don't wait for 2 more years.
For 2 more years? No, that's up to you. So I'll be waiting for
Well, that's
your
true.
call.
It's on me. And
Exactly.
you guys are coming out with so much so fast. I don't know. We'll probably talk in a couple of weeks. All
I do hope so, and I do think so. We have a lot of great stuff coming, so keep you in the loop.
right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.